BBC with us this afternoon, and I welcome Tim Davie, Director General, and Samir Shah, Chairman. It's your first time before us, and we're very pleased to have you. I wanted to ask some questions about the Huw Edwards case, because since we were originally scheduled to see you, there have been developments clearly in that case. But with that on the record, could I come straight away, please, to you, Mr. Davie, and ask what is the current status of the BBC's attempt to recover the £200,000 of salary paid to Mr. Edwards for that period post his arrest until his resignation? Has that money been returned?
No, we've made the formal request, and I can't go into too much detail, but discussions are underway. But I've got no further news apart from the BBC's position is clear, the money should be returned, and we've made the request. Okay.
Did you set a deadline?
I don't believe we set a deadline, but we do expect to make progress and get an answer.
Okay, and if Mr. Edwards is not forthcoming in repaying that money, you have already resolved that you will endeavour to pursue recovery of that money through a sort of legal process?
Well, we will explore that, but that is, as I said, I've said on record, I think that is challenging. Sure. I think at the moment the position is very clear. We've made that request to Mr. Edwards, and that's where we sit. Our management position is, and supported by the board, is very clear.
Okay. And another specific question, if I may. What is the status of the internal investigation that you launched into his conduct last summer?
You mean the one that, not the, I'm just getting clear in terms of what the question I'm answering, which is the investigation we set out with in terms of once we'd had the initial Sun story, we asked people to come forward. Yes. That is now closed. Right. Because it's a simple situation from a leadership point of view, which is once we'd got offered the resignation with no payoff, if you looked at any possible sanctions, someone leaving the BBC without a payoff is where it sits.
The first thing I would say is that it's my view and the view of the board that there's nothing more important than public trust in the BBC, and we are custodians of that trust. And what Huw Edwards did damaged the reputation and the trust for the BBC enormously. So we take that very seriously indeed. I should say, it was a shock to discover when it was announced, when he was charged, that he had led this double life. On the face of it, a trusted news presenter, but hidden secretly, he was this figure who did the most appalling things. And I want to be clear that the person who betrayed the trust of the nation, the trust of his colleagues, was Huw Edwards. I knew him. I worked with him 30 years ago. Many producers, researchers, directors, editors worked with Huw Edwards, made him the figure he was, and they feel angry and betrayed by him.